Hello everyone, Ace here, and today let's talk about how a man was recently left paralyzed after getting swatted. And unfortunately how this occurred even after he alerted law enforcement to the danger of him possibly being swatted. Now the victim in question, Axiel Melendez, is currently asking his county for $176 million over what has happened, and to be honest that is completely reasonable, especially given the context of him informing the county a few days prior that this could very well happen. This whole incident began over him playing Rust and another player apparently asking to check his computer to make sure he wasn't cheating or something. For whatever reason, Melendez did acquiesce to that request, but it turned out that individual was trying to hack him, and so he had to change passwords for everything. And after changing the passwords, that's when the threats of swatting began. Naturally, Melendez called dispatch to try to warn them about possible swatting attempts, and they basically brushed him off, saying it wasn't going to happen. Fast forward a few days, and it happened. And in the process, he got shot and paralyzed. So there are several things to take away from this incident. Firstly, it is very concerning that warning dispatch in advance of the potential swatting failed so spectacularly. This is especially worrying because this used to be the tried and true method that people that are content creators or what have you, that are worried about swatting, would do to try to head it off, in an effort to try to avoid this exact scenario. So to see what happened here makes one wonder what exactly are we supposed to do now when calling dispatch and letting them know, hey, there's a very real chance we might get swatted, just isn't an effective answer. What is the plan to prevent online hackers from murdering people through swatting them? What, let them do it and get arrested afterwards after the damage is already done? Well, that might be a little bit tricky considering the guy that did it appears to have been from a completely different country. But even outside of that, there surely has to be something to prevent the misuse of law enforcement and emergency services to such a degree that they end up becoming tools or weapons to commit murder. And make no mistake, murder, or at the very least attempted murder, a swatting attempt most certainly is. You're sending armed law enforcement to some random guy's house while giving them the idea that person is incredibly dangerous and needs to be shot for public safety right then and there. The officers responding to these calls are going there thinking that this is easily going to be one of the very worst days of their lives, and that they have to do everything to keep themselves, their buddies, and anyone around going home. Obviously, that's a recipe for disaster when you misuse the 911 system in order to maliciously send a bunch of armed and now very paranoid cops to someone's house. There is, of course, another matter to discuss here while we're at it, and it is the matter of online safety, which is to say, don't give some rando online access to your personal computer, because stuff like this can absolutely happen as a result. There's a very good chance if someone's demanding access to your computer like that they're a hacker, and this could very easily happen to you. So simply put, do not do that. This might be a worst case scenario sort of situation, but the very fact that it can happen should absolutely be in the back of your mind whenever someone asks for that sort of access. It can very easily lead to one of the worst days in your life. And sadly, as we previously went over, it would seem that sometimes even informing dispatch days in advance that you have good reason to believe that you may soon become a victim of a swatting attempt, well, that simply is not good enough to ensure your safety. What exactly you're supposed to do anymore when someone tries to threaten you with a swatting attempt, I don't know. Because, like I said, the tried and true method to respond to this doesn't work anymore, apparently. What I can tell you, though, is that you can minimize the risk by at least preventing some of the kinds of circumstances that lead to this, such as letting a rando online have access to your computer.